think one of the main problems we've got with the Bridge Road cycleway is drivers coming out of the side streets without looking properly and stopping and giving way, therefore leading to the potential for being T-boned. Now, just notice that I think someone's actually cut the bicycle counter there. I've reported that to City of Sydney. Now, here's Bridge Road, and here's this kind of little back street, which I think is being used as a rat run by some drivers. Now, when I come down the hill here, I usually, like 99% of the time, take the bike lane, because I often find that the car lane is fully congested as you come down here. So, it's actually faster to take the bike lane, even though I go down the hill more slowly than the cars. I always get overtaken. And I'm going down slowly because I'm preparing for drivers to come zipping out of these side streets and come into the bike lane in order to have a look up the hill. Or, there's a car that's come out. Did they stop properly and have a look? Well, I stopped and set up my camera to see what actually goes on. And I was there for about 10 minutes and saw a bunch of cars come out. So let's have a look at how the drivers actually behave. Now, you can see they're coming down here. This driver's coming down very slowly. Do they stop? This is a stop sign. They roll, roll, roll. No, they didn't actually stop. Now, this is the important bit, and I'll link to this article in the description, and it's all about cicads. And you might be saying, well, what is a cicad? Well, it's to do with the eye and the brain, etc. But let's read through this bit. Research has shown that people tend not to look near the edges of a framed scene, which translates to drivers not looking at the edges of a windscreen. As a result, not only are there blind spots in the form of door pillars, and yeah, door pillars are much larger these days than on cars 20 or 30 years older, there's an even bigger jump, or cicad, around each door pillar because our eyes tend not to fixate near it. This is called windscreen zoning. So consider when you're coming up to a junction, you look left and right, you see no other vehicles and proceed through the junction. Suddenly there's a blast on the horn and a car flashes in front of you, missing you by inches, blah, blah, blah. So what happened? On the approach, you did not see that another car was on a perfect collision course with no relative movement for your peripheral vision to detect, possibly compounded by being behind the door pillar. Lulled into a false sense of security, you looked quickly right and left to avoid holding up the traffic behind you, and your eyes jumped cleanly over the approaching vehicle, especially as it was close to the door pillar in the windscreen. The rest of the road was empty, and this was the scene that your brain used to fill in the gaps. Now, I suggest you go and read the entire article. It's not that long, but it explains this whole kind of eye-brain thing. And it really gets the point I'm trying to get at here is it's really, really important that when you come to an intersection, particularly when you're driving a car, you actually have a really good look. And how many times, has a cyclist or a motorcyclist had the experience of Smidsy with, sorry mate, I didn't see you. And you can be wearing bright colours, you can have your headlights on and all that kind of stuff, and they still don't see you, and they pull out and you go straight into the front quarter panel or driver's door or go over the bonnet or whatever. And it's all down to this factor. So are drivers coming out of this side street actually stopping and looking properly? That's the key point. Now let's rewind for a moment, and with that knowledge in mind, let's have a look at this first vehicle that we saw come out. Is the driver stopping and looking? And are they rolling? Now that's a stop sign, and they technically just broke the law because they didn't actually stop. Did they have enough time to look right to see cyclists coming down the bike lane? Good question. Here comes driver number 2. Are they going to stop? Yes, they come to a complete stop. Why is that? Well, because there's cars approaching from their right, so they couldn't pull out. And yeah, I've sped this up a little bit to show that they had to sit here for 20 or 30 seconds, and boom, there goes a cyclist. So they went past safely. Now watch this red car. Looks briefly to her right and then just doesn't stop, keeps on going. It was a boring time. I cut out all the bits in the middle. So you can see here the traffic is congested coming down the hill. The Maserati turns up. Are they coming to a complete stop? No. Nope. They just see the cars roll out, keep on going. Does this black car stop? Nope. It just rolls through the stop sign. Has, a brief glance. So we now know about the cicad. And, you can see because of the building here on the corner, the sight lines to the right are very, very obstructed. So the driver only has a very short window as they emerge from the laneway to actually see something coming down the hill. You're talking probably hundredths of a second. So is that enough time to actually have a good look, given that none of these drivers are stopping unless there's cars coming down the hill? So you might have noticed the pedestrian in the laneway. Okay, so that driver stopped. That's what, 2 complete stops so far. Everyone else has rolled through. Another one, yeah, I don't know if they even bothered turning their head. If I had a zoom lens, I guess I could see if they did. What about this driver? Well, at least this lot are driving slowly in the laneway, which is a good thing. I've certainly experienced drivers coming belting out of this laneway much faster than this. Okay, here's our third driver who's come to a complete halt, again because of cars coming down the hill and possibly nothing else. And this is our last one. No, they roll through it too. Well, we do actually have some zoom software, and let's have a look at how long this driver looks to their right. I'm guessing about 1/3 of a second. They just roll out, they barely look at all. Now, again, this driver spends less than half a second looking, and you can see they've got a face mask on, so it actually makes it easy to see which way they're looking. So we now know about cicads, and we know that most drivers are not stopping and looking properly when they're exiting Allum Place. In fact, the only time they're stopping is if they see cars coming down the hill. As cyclists, what can we do about this? Well, first thing is be aware that this is a problem. Don't come screaming down the hill like your hair's on fire. If you're going to come down in the bike lane, come down covering the brakes at a reasonable speed and be ready to stop, and keep your eyes peeled. Just look for vehicles coming out of the side and just don't think the drivers are going to stop and look and see you and stop for you. Just expect them to actually pull out right in front of you. So that's the kind of speed you want to be going at. The other thing we can do is, what I'm doing is I'm flick passing this to the City of Sydney and the RMS and their engineering teams, and hopefully they can engineer a solution for these side streets to stop this kind of thing from happening.